The future simple verb tense can drive students crazy because it's not that simple and it doesn't just talk about the future. In fact, there are 7 different ways that you can use this verb tense. My name is Jay, and we're going to look at each of them. Before we look at each of those 7 uses, let's get back to basics and look at the grammar. We're going to start with the positive form of the verb. It's pretty simple to make the positive form. You need a subject like she, then you add the auxiliary verb will, then you tack on a main verb like go, and then the rest of your sentence. She will go home. Notice that the main verb go doesn't change, even if you use she, he, or it. It always stays the same in its basic form. So we never say she will goes home. We always say she, he, or it will go home. Here's a table that shows all of the subjects and the verbs. I will go home, you will go home, she will go home, he will go home, it will go home, we will go home, and they will go home. This brings us to a little point about formal versus informal language. So if you're writing something formal, like an email to a boss at your work, for example, or if you're doing a formal presentation, you might say I will, or she will, or it will. But if you're using informal language, like a text message to a friend or an email to a friend, or just in spoken language, we'll use a contraction. I will becomes I'll, like I'll go home. You will becomes you'll, as in you'll go home. She will becomes she'll, as in she'll go home. He'll go home, it'll go home, we'll go home, and they'll go home. So we've learned how to make a positive sentence form, including the informal contracted version, which is fantastic. Let's now learn how to make a negative form using the word not. To make a negative sentence, you need a subject like he, then the word will, he will, then the word not, he will not, then the main verb, he will not go, then the rest of the sentence, he will not go home. Here's a table showing all of the subjects and the verbs. I will not go home, you will not go home, she will not go home, he will not go home, it will not go home, we will not go home, and they will not go home. So when you make a negative sentence with not, you can also use a contracted version as well with the word won't, or will not becomes won't. So I won't go home, you won't go home, she won't go home, he won't go home, it won't go home, we won't go home, and they won't go home. Fantastic. So we've covered the positive form and the negative form. Now we need to learn the question form of this verb. How do you ask a question with the word will? When we make a question using the future simple, we move will to the start of the sentence. Will. Then we add the subject, they. Then we add the main verb, will they go? Then the rest of the sentence. Will they go home? Here's a table showing all of the question forms. Will I go home? Will you go home? Will she go home? Will he go home? Will it go home? Will we go home? Will they go home? Notice that there are no short forms here. It's the same for formal and informal language. So that's how we make a question using the word will. But have you ever heard of the word shall, which is kind of similar to will? Sometimes English speakers ask questions with the word shall. Let's take a look. Sometimes you'll hear someone ask a question like, shall we get Japanese for dinner? Or, shall we watch a movie later tonight? This is another way that we can ask a question about the future, and it's very similar to will. Okay, so we've covered the positive, the negative, and the question form. Now there's one more, which is the negative question form. For this type of question, we need to start with the word won't or will not, but always in its contracted form, won't. And then a subject, we. Then the main verb, go. Then the rest of the sentence, won't we go home? Here's a table showing the negative question forms. Won't I go home? Won't you go home? Won't she go home? Won't he go home? Won't it go home? Won't we go home? And won't they go home? This one might sound a little bit strange to you. It's a question that we ask to confirm our understanding of something, and it is actually quite commonly used. With these types of questions, we never say, will not we go home? We always use won't. So we say, won't we go home? Cool bananas. So we've learned the positive, the negative, the question, and the negative question form. And if you feel a little bit confused, that's okay. You can now go and take our placement test. Click the link in the description below or go to www.e2school.com and take our free placement test. Simply sign up for free, take the test. It will tell you your level of English and also what you need to do to improve. So the first way we use the future simple, surprise, surprise, is to talk about the future. Number 1, talk about the future. Take a look at these examples. I'll be home late tonight. Or, we'll catch up with Max and Sally after dinner. Or, you'll see my new car in the driveway when you get home. All three of these are referring to the future, and they do this by using will plus the main verb. We can also talk about the future in more formal writing, such as an essay. For example, in this essay, I will explain why a free market can strengthen the economy. Or in other formal situations, such as, the doctor will see you at 3 p.m. on Friday. Number 2, spontaneous decisions. The second way that we use will is when we make a spontaneous decision in the moment. Let me show you. So when we decide something spontaneously, we say I'll. Imagine the phone is ringing and someone says, I'll get it. Or suddenly you feel tired, so you say, I feel tired. I think I'll go to bed early tonight. These are spontaneous decisions using will or I'll. Number 3, make a prediction. The third way that we use will is to make a prediction about the future, to guess that something might happen. For example, you might be watching a sports match and you think the French team is the best, so you could say, the French team will win this game. You're predicting they'll win. You don't actually know, you're kind of guessing, so you use the word will. So you don't actually know if the French team will win, you're predicting. And also remember to use the negative as well for predictions. The American team won't win this match. You don't think they'll win. Number 4, promise something. The fourth way that we can use will is when we make a promise to someone. This can be a small promise, such as, I'll bring that book for you tomorrow. Or a big promise like, I'll always love you. Or you can also make a promise in the negative using not. For example, I won't eat that much cake ever again. Here you are promising yourself that you will not do something again in the future. Number 5, invite someone. The fifth way that we use will is if you want to invite somebody to do something. Will you go to the movies with me on Friday? Or will you come to my birthday party next weekend? Here we're using will in the question form to create an invitation. Number 6, ask for a favor. The 6th way that we use will is if you want to ask somebody to do a favor for you. For example, will you pass me that pencil? Or will you lend me $50? Here we're using will to ask for a favor. Number 7, offer help. The 7th way that you can use will is to make an offer to somebody. For example, imagine you have a friend who doesn't understand the future simple very well. You can offer to help them. I'll help you with your future simple homework. Or I'll send you the link to the E2 English video. Here we're offering our assistance by using the future simple will. All right, we've done it. We've done all 7 uses of the future simple. Let's take a quick look at each of them one more time. Number 1, talk about the future. For example, I'll see you later tonight. Number 2, spontaneous decisions. I'll have the cheeseburger. Make a prediction. The French team will win this race. Number 4, promise something. I'll love you forever. Number 5, invite someone. Will you come to my wedding? Number 6, ask for a favor. Will you pass me a pen, please? Number 7, assist someone or offer help. I'll send you the link. Okay, fantastic. So we have learned the 4 forms, the positive, the negative, the question, and the question negative form. Then we've just learned the 7 different ways or uses of the future simple using will. Now, if you want to keep practicing, or if you just want to find your English level, go and take the placement test at E2 English. Simply click the link in the description below, go to www.e2school.com and see how good your English really is. Thanks for watching. My name is Jay. I'll see you soon.